Hey guys, it's Olivia and welcome back to my channel. So today this is a video I've been meaning to do for months, but I'm finally doing it. So today I'm going to be talking about the setting of Pertho. So what I mean by that is kind of how Pertho came to be, a little bit about what it looks like, a little bit about the structure within Pertho, like the hierarchy, kind of like who's going where, all that fun stuff, like kind of world building. So if you're into world building, listen to this. And if you're not, I'm so sorry. This is really the first setting I ever really world builded fully. So it's very close to my heart, and yeah, it's great. This is going to be a bit of a longer video, so I suggest you do something while you listen to this, and let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, let's just get into how Pertho kind of came to be. So my book takes place in 2175 America. Yeah, that's right. So basically that means it's about 150 years in the future, starting from 2025. It would be 150 years. So there are a lot of changes that come with that. And one of it is different government as well as crime rise, which is what I wrote on my lovely little outline in the notebook. So basically, the different government, I'm not going to really get into it because that's going to be spoilers for book 3, which it goes really big into the governmental structure, which I'm not going to talk about here. But let's just say this government is kind of corrupt. Hence, hence the criminal camps, okay? So the government is corrupt. Yippee. We love corrupt government. So that's all you really need to know. The government is very corrupt. So then they decide... So to combat crime rise, instead of making another prison where it's humane, they decide to make Pertho. Yippee! So they built Pertho so the idea came up. I have a whole timeline for this. This is a problem. But Pertho was thought up in 2167, which basically was 3 years before it was built. And it was built within 3 years. And the current timeline of the book, the Pertho is coming up on its 6th year, which is pretty cool. And some of the characters say, oh yeah, I've been here for 6 years, and that's because they went in before Pertho was officially a camp. It's a very long story, but it's pretty cool. So now let's talk about what Pertho looks like. So basically the outside of it, a gray brick. I feel like that's what it is in my imagination. Like it's this rectangular structure that is made out of gray bricks. That's all you need to know. So now I'm going to get into a little bit of the inside of Pertho, but as I'm doing that, I also need to go talk about the jobs, because where you are inside of Pertho determines on what job you have. Like, for example, miners, test subjects, and guards. Those are the 3 jobs, and they all work at different areas of the facility. So I'm going to go into each job in more detail, as well as go into where they kind of are in the facility and what it kind of looks like. So let's get started. So first of all, we have the miners. The miners work under the building. So basically there's like a trap door and it leads down to the mines, which is a horrible place. It's mostly, so the miners live down there. They do not go up to the main area except when they first come in, or if they are like kind of taken out for other jobs, which is a headcanon I have in my own book. I never say it otherwise, but I think it does happen where miners are taken outside for jobs. Like, kind of like cool other little roles. I don't know. But yeah, so we have the miners and they're under the building. So there are rooms down in the mines. So there's a main area, which is kind of like a dirt hallway. It's kind of how I imagine it, with like stone and like stuff to mine, because you need that. And then they have other rooms, which is basically where the prisoners sleep at night. And then there's also another type of room, which is called the torture rooms, which does not really get mentioned much in this book, but it has to do with a lot of characters past, especially those who are miners, like Nathan and Clover. And yeah, so the torture rooms are basically where the miners go when they are disobedient, and then they get, tortured, yippee. And then they have the rooms, which is basically where they go to sleep at night very uncomfortably. There are no beds in that room, you're just on the floor, which is kind of the same for the test subjects, but we're going to get into that in a little bit. So that's the mines. And then also, to connect with that, guards, which are basically, there are 2 types of guards before I go further into this. There are foremen and there are regular guards. So foremen are leaders of a division. So like a minor division. I feel like there are 3 divisions in the mines, and there are 2 foremen in each division. And it's kind of like where you are in the mines, because I feel like the mines are like really long. So they need to have foremen, right? They need to have people controlling the other guards and controlling the other prisoners, which they are also prisoners themselves. They are not higher ups. Most of the time, they're prisoners. There are some special exceptions that I will not say here, as they're actually important to characters' backstories. But these guards are, so these foremen are very alert. They're fighters. And they kind of get special privileges. Like, they're able to contact people outside of the facility. That's one. And then another one is that they get beds. They get comfortable rooms. They get the high life in Pertho, pretty much. They're kind of enabled to still kind of do crimes within the facility. So it's very hard to become a foreman unless you have fighting experience. But it pays off if you do. So there are guards there. And basically, they just keep all the prisoners in line. And then their rooms are kind of like in the back. They're kind of away from the prisoner. They're still down underground for the miners division, but they're somewhere over there. They're somewhere. So yeah, but they're really nice too, in my imagination. They're not nice, but they're like comfortable. Comfortable is a good word. Yeah. So that's kind of what the mines kind of are. And then I'm going to move on to the test subjects, because the test subjects are very important to the entire story, because most of my characters are test subjects. Actually, all of them are test subjects at one point or another, which is kind of funny. And the only one who isn't, or hasn't been, is Paul, which is very interesting, and I will not say any more about that. But test subjects basically live on the top floor of the facility, kind of like above the mines. So they live on the ground floor. And basically, what they do is they have kind of like a very similar sleeping situation to the miners. It's just one big gray block, and no beds, nothing in the room, just empty. So except with the mines, there are many miners. There are many people in one room sleeping at once, like hundreds. But with the test subjects, they're isolated. Where was I? All right, so the test subjects are isolated, which is very important to the story. There are only about 1 or 2 people in each room, sometimes even 3, but that's only if you're lucky. Otherwise, you are respectfully screwed. There's sometimes more than 3, but that's very rare. So let's get into a little bit about the foreman and that division and the guards. So basically all the other like random guards sort of live up in the test subjects department, as well as the foreman of the test subjects department. And what they do is they have their own kind of like bedrooms. They're like kind of guest bedrooms up there too, so they'll kind of like live there. Cool. And it's kind of like the same with the mines, where they're kind of better. And then the guards will just, like, I guess will have their own room. I haven't really thought of the logistics of that, and I don't think I ever will, because we're not really looking into the head of a guard. So, we're cool. Like, we're cool with that. So, now, there was something I was gonna say about the test subjects. Oh, so the test subjects go to one other place in Pertho, which is the medical room. And we get to see this room, I think, couple times throughout the book, 3 or 4, maybe more. So the medical room is basically a place where the experiments are done on them, and Persephone is usually the one who's carrying them out to the test subjects, and then they'll record the effects. So that's kind of where just the experiments on the test subjects are done, which is pretty cool. So now let's move on to another point in this thing, which is the exits to Pertho. Are there exits? Are there not? Well, there are exits, but they all have multiple locks and codes and all that fun stuff. There is a trap door from the mines outside, but it requires a key, and very few people have that key. And that's really the only ways out. Like, I think there's only like 2 doors out. There's the trap door, and then there's the main door, which is severely monitored. So, well, it's very hard to get out of the facility. Yay. And then we have, I'm trying to think of like anything else. There are other areas in Pertho, like there are guest bedrooms. Persephone lives in Pertho. Harold lives in Pertho for a little bit. There's an office room, which we get to see a lot. That's where Paul and Persephone kind of like put down experiments data from the test subjects. And yeah, that's really all there is to Pertho that I can think of. If there's anything else that you would like to hear about Pertho or the other characters, please let me know down in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon in another video. Also, I'm sorry for the random cuts. I had to go like edit a bunch of video clips together, and I don't think I did so correctly. I'm still working on it though. My editing skills are improving. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.